Let's make our own Wonders of the First cards. Howdy, howdy, American Texan here, and if you're watching this when I publish it, Merry Christmas. I wanted to do something for the community, and I wanted to show how I make the custom cards that I share on the Discord and in my videos. I think they look great. I think they're some of the best looking fan art cards, and I'm not uploading examples into AI and asking it to change elements. I actually did create my own template. I created it in Canva, but I used lots of different tools to help me get all the assets together. And after months of trial and error, I finally think I got the near perfect template of different cards that I can make. I've got the framing down. I've got the gradients down. The font is pretty close, right? Obviously, I don't know the exact font that Wonders of the First uses in all their cards, but I'm very excited to share with you this process. Now, I wanted to initially just share the Canva template because that is possible. We do that. I run a couple marketing businesses, and that's one of the ways that we help clients out who want to do a lot of work themselves. But since it is using Wonders of the First assets, like the orbital icons or even the general frame itself, like the layout, I didn't want to get in trouble and I didn't want to push that envelope. So I'm going to share with you my process. And if you want to make your own cards, you can see a little bit of how I came up with the different sizing, spacing, of course, the art and everything. Now, the art itself, I didn't record anything, but I just use Sora AI, which is part of ChatGPT. I'll go into ChatGPT. I'll load up an example that's a card that's close to a card that I want to make. So, for example, I'll upload a few of the Heliosynth Wonders as a reference and say, hey, now I want to make a Heliosynth person, but that looks like this. And so I didn't record that part. If you want to make your own AI art, you can figure that out on your own. But this is all about creating the card itself. So I'm going to share my screen and I'll show you. The software I use is Canva. It's all inside of Canva. Now, I did use other tools to make some of the elements like the frame, but you can get an idea of how it goes into it. And you'll also see, I hope you'll see, that something like this takes time, it takes iteration, but just because it's not perfect doesn't mean it's not enjoyable. There are so many things that I find as I make more cards, little design, just little flares that really make the card design pop out. You'll actually see me discover one at the moment. There's a little flare that I miss in all the cards I've created before, and I actually catch it and I add it real quick into the final design. So I'm very excited to share this and show you the process, and I hope it helps. And this is, while I would love to give you the template, I don't want to get in trouble. So this is my Christmas gift to you, is sharing the process of how I make these cards. All right, so here is what the final card should look like. And this, of course, is based off of my style here. And shout out to Joe Doug, member of the Wonders team. He's the one that provided me with this image. And wow, I am just very humbled and very honored to have an actual cowboy, like real art image here. It's way better than I could do with what my skills are. So thank you, Joe Doug, for that. But I really wanted to like have something that I could share, like a template or something like that. And I will keep working on it, but I wanted to show you at least as a Christmas gift, how I created something that is the most like the Wonders of the First cards. In fact, let me pull up a Wonders of the First card that you can see. So here we go. I'll load up some Wonders here. So yeah, let's look at Karen Vox, right? So you've got Karen Vox, and I think I am pretty pleased with how close we got. Actually, let me pull up one that has a faction. Who's got a faction? Baron the Unstable here. This went through a lot of iterations. If you look at all my iterations, first off, Thora the Explorer, not many people saw her. And then slowly just iterating. And if you learn anything from this video, even if you figure that maybe this isn't something you can try, everything gets better over time. And so these are some of the cards that I created, as well as some of the things that I was playing with. Version 2 there. There's my original here. And you'll notice I always started with formless foils because I couldn't get the edge correct. And the formless foils, you'll notice on Gemma, this is a fan cast here, Sydney Sweetie playing Emma Shockbite's cousin. And the story is here that they wanted to augment her, right? Because all of Emma's, I don't know if it's her faction, but her people are augmented. So instead of Gemma being augmented, she's like, why would you mess with perfection? And so she refuses to be augmented. So she's actually kind of a traitor kind of role. And she's risen up. This is all fan made. This is not an actual card. She's like kind of risen up a faction of like people on the Heliosynth orbital that are not going to get augmented. So anyways, so you'll notice here that the text kind of gets lost a little bit in the brightness here, and especially towards the bottom, you got so much going on here in the picture. And that's when I realized that in the actual cards, there is a gradient here. So you'll notice on the Umbrathine, there's a purple gradient. If I go over to the Heliosynth, there's a little bit of a sand color gradient here, and it is very slight. So that's when I kind of figured that we should add gradients. And so here's the image that he provided me. I don't know where it came from. And then we added the gradient there. But you notice the gradient went all the way to the edge, and I didn't have it masked right. And just again, in my limited knowledge of how to use Canva, it took me a few weeks to figure it out. So I have a few more cards here where the gradient goes all the way to the edge. There's Vabraham Vlinken. We talked about President Vikings. Undying Friend was a lot of fun. And then this is where I finally figured out how to get the masking on the gradient. So everything kind of comes onto this. Oh, and then we also added the artist credit there, just so it's obvious that this is not a real set if it's not already noticeable from the card number and the set name here. So we finally got it figured out. Kind of, I think it's really tuned down. The last thing was the frame. I could not figure out the frame after a lot of time with AI and taking a look at the cards and trying to recreate things without actually having to go in there and create the vectors. Finally got something of a frame here, just kind of piecemealing some things together and then putting together a janky frame. You'll notice it's not perfect, but once you put it underneath the outline, it actually comes out pretty good. So I think this is a lot of fun to make, really, really fun. So I'll show you my process here of how I do things. And this is one of those things where you have a template, but it's not really a template. It's something that you already have created, a graphic or an image, and then you just copy that and make changes to make the new image that you want. So in this example here, we're going to make a image of something that inspired me from the Discord. From the Discord, someone shared a bird that they rescued with a broken wing. So I'm going to go ahead and create a broken wing here, and she named it Quill Ravager. So we're going to create Quill Ravager here. The story with Quill in my mind is that they have a broken wing, but of course they've been augmented with the cybernetic wing. And I don't know what it does exactly. We'll let them kind of figure out what they want to do with that. But this is a little iteration of Quill Ravager there. Okay, so here is how I do it. So all that said, here's my process to how I create a custom card. So first thing, I always start with one that I've already done. This, again, went through so many iterations of how to figure all this stuff out. So we'll start with a card that I've already done, and we'll copy that. All right, and then we'll replace the art. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the frame here. The frame's on the outside. You'll notice that I kind of move it around. I'm actually going to delete that, and that's the last thing I'm going to do here. And so let's bring in Quill here. So I'm going to go to my uploads because I already uploaded it. And we're going to replace my image. And in Canva, this is all done in Canva, so you can just drag and drop everything. All right, there we go. So now we got the image in here. So now we need to adjust the text. I like to do the text first and then the coloring. This also looks a little dark. I don't know if I can bring it down in brightness. Let me see. Adjust brightness. I think just a tad bit. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is Quill Ravager. All right, and this is looking very heliosynth, so we will make sure to do heliosynth. Now, pigeon, legendary pigeon. Do we want to do a legendary pigeon? I've noticed in Wonders a lot of the named cards are primary or legendary, but let's go ahead and do a primary Wonder, and then let's make this a augmented bird beast. And I get bird beast because I was thinking about chained crow, who is not a pigeon, but a crow, and it does say bird beast, right? So I think that's good, but we're adding the augmented trait to it as well. And then of course it is going to be heliosynth, so I do have some icons loaded that I use. This is one of the main reasons why I'm not sharing this, is because I don't know how permissions are going to work. I do know that as a proof holder, I have permission to use icons in certain manners. I'm sure if it's fine on a personal use level, it's not fine on a, hey, don't go around sharing all this stuff. So I'm just going to show you what I do, and you can get an idea into the process. And of course, I'm sure some people on the graphic design team are like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Look, I hire pros to do this. I haven't done stuff like this in a long time. Okay, so we'll bring that back. There we go. And it is a little, I couldn't get a high res of heliosynth for some reason. Quill, I don't know. Do they need to be core? We're going to say they're not core. And I don't think they're part of a faction, so we'll get rid of the faction, which means we don't need that. There we go. Nice little heliosynth there. I think I want to move it down just a little bit. No, we'll put it back where it was. Okay. And then we're going to get this closer there. All right. And then we need to come up with an ability. I don't know if we want to come up with a quote here. Let's come up with a pigeon quote. All right. So I only thought of the song by Mr. Mister. Take these broken wings and learn to fly again. Learn to live so free. We're going to have that one. And let's see. We'll copy this. If I can copy it. Here we go. There we go. Okay. So we'll replace that with the... There we go. All right. And then, of course, I did do the line break, so we'll do that. I noticed that as far as the width of the quote, it goes to the center of the icons here. So we'll do that. But we don't like hanging words. What do you call these? I don't remember what they call when you just have one word on a line. So we'll go ahead and line break that. And then I think I want this to be a 1.1. This is 1.01. There we go. Get a little bit of extra spacing there. All right. And then we want to do the ability. So let's do, I don't know if we want to exactly copy Iron Citadel, but I'm thinking like Storm Quill, when they fly, because they have a cybernetic arm, they move faster than non-flying creatures and beasts. So I'm thinking that Iron Citadel, the ability of that land would be a good ability for this card. So Iron Citadel, if you control a wonder with flying in this realm, defending enemy wonders without flying, do not add their power to battle in this realm. I think that's a great ability for the card. And if I had more time or I wanted to take more time, I would come up with something else. But for right now, we'll go ahead and do that. So whenever Storm Quill Ravager attacks enemies with flying, do not add, and let's get the exact wording here, don't add their power to battles in this realm. I'm surprised it was don't. Don't add their power to battles in this realm. All right, and let's see, defending enemy wonders without flying, don't add their power to battles in this realm. Okay, that sounds good. All right, and then I also noticed that there's kind of a double line break between the text and the flavor text. So we'll do a double line break, and then I just put a little letter there, and then I try to line these up. There we go. All right, and then we'll take that out. And then I noticed that the bottom of the cost here is where the bottom of the flavor text line is. If I go back here, you'll notice the bottom of the flavor text is at the bottom of the number. Same thing if it's just ability text, the bottom of the ability text is at the bottom of the cost. So we're gonna put all these up. These are already lined up, so we'll move it up to the bottom of the cost. And there you go. We've got the Storm Quill Ravager. Now, obviously, it is Heliosynth, so we want to change it to Heliosynth colors. So let me go grab my Heliosynth palette here. If I go to a Heliosynth card that I made, there we go. And I go to the Mythic box here. I'm just going to copy this color. And again, this is like colors that I already tried to find and figure out. I want to copy this color. There we go. And then we will change this color to that color. Okay, we'll do it again here. And I don't think we'll keep this white. And this is where I always have to go back. Yeah, so the abilities on cards are, the background of the power is white. So we'll keep that there. But the color of the text should be that Heliosynth color. Oh no, that's items. Here we go. Okay, so the background text is white and the power and the number is that color. So we'll get that. Boom. Okay, get that there. All right, that stays white, and then we got to get all the framing here. This framing took a long time to try to figure out in Canva to get all the bends and all that, and it's still not perfect, but it's pretty close. It's close enough to where if you probably don't look at it for more than a few seconds, you won't be able to tell. So I can see here, like I got all these bended lines here, but then there's like a triangle to fill in a weird gap, and that's fine. In fact, what I should do is probably group them together. I'll do that in the next iteration. Always be improving. I'm sure Ben has a video about that. There we go. All right, and then we need to change the color of the gradient, and we'll see, can I change it to that color? I think that's a little light. Let's see if we can make it a little bit lighter. Whoops, nope. There we go, color. And let's edit, and let's make it a little bit lighter. Actually, I think it needs to be more gray. There we go, something like that, okay? All right, good. Now, again, you'll notice the gradient goes all the way to the edge. That's not a deal breaker because it will, once we put the frame back on, it'll cover all that up. All right, so here is Storm Quill Ravager. Now, I did also notice this box actually has a Heliosynth color outline around it. I never noticed that before. Yeah, look at this. I never noticed there's a little outline around the box here. So let's go here. And we will go to edit. I think it's under edit. Nope, it's under stroke style. Stroke is like an outline. So we'll add the outline, add the color. There we go. All right. And again, that should look better once we, oh, look, it almost looks like it's got some white bleed there. That's interesting. Hopefully that'll fix itself. All right. There we go. Okay. So we've got Storm Quill Ravager. Oh yeah. And we need to change the number. Now I have a running list of cards here, and this is the last one I made was the Remains of Caroline, kind of a mashup of Caroline and Remains of Barnabas, and we've got AT10. This is number 10. So there we go, of my non-existent set. And I also want to copy my name. And so we copy my name, and I want to change the text to that sand color, just a nice little thing. That M, is that M supposed to be that color? Yeah, sure is. Okay, perfect. So the card is pretty much done, and all that's left is to copy the frame. So I'm going to go up here and grab my frame, and I'm going to paste it on top, and you'll see it covers a few elements, but all I have to do is I'm going to send it to the back, and I'm going to move it in front of the picture and in front of the gradient. I said in front of the gradient. There we go. All right, cool. And I'm going to check my positions here, my layers. Let's see. Oh, okay, it's the heliosynth icon's covered, so we'll move that up. There we go. Perfect. So here it is in all her glory. Storm Quill Ravager, 10th card of the non-existence set. Oh, let's give it the proper name here. The proper file name. There we go. 5 power, 4 oh, we didn't change the cost and power. So whenever Storm Quill Ravager attacks enemy defending wonders without flying, don't add their power. So it's kind of nice because it's not removal though, because Chained Crow, I'm really comparing it to Chained Crow. What other wonders have flying? I think flying gives you like a real big bonus to... Oh, that's interesting. Nothing in Heliosynth flies. That reminds me, I should probably add flying to her. Someone's probably like already left comments. Hey, leave flying. She should be flying. All right, there we go. And then let me realign this. Take these broken wings. We might not have room for the flavor text here. There we go. All right, so now that's matched up. And boom. Okay, yeah, that's matched up. All right, cool. There you go, Storm Quill Ravager. Yeah, I wonder if we should remove the flavor text. We'll keep it on because it's fun. But if I was actually like designing the card, I would probably think, oh, we might need to remove it. And let me also get her a little more centered here. Oh, I can't. Oh, well, I was going to try to center her more, but I don't have any more room. Boom, there we go. Whenever Storm Quill Ravager attacks, defending enemy wonders without flying don't add their power to battles in this realm. So that's pretty powerful. So definitely we don't want to give her 5. Let's give her 2 power. And cost, let's do 3. So let's do Chained Crow. She's 3 cost, but we'll give her 2 power. And you know what? As much as I want to keep her a mythic, I don't think that's a mythic ability. Let's make her a rare. There we go. Now we've changed all the elements. Now we've got a pretty cool looking card here. So there you go, Storm Quill Ravager. All right, so there you have it. That's how I make the cards, and I want to shout out the member. I didn't ask them if they wanted a shout out by name. Maybe they can leave a comment if they do, but I appreciate the inspiration, and by all means, I'll send you the file and you can, the image, and you can share that with you and your friends. So Storm Quill Ravager was a fantastic inspiration here for this one. And if you want your own custom cards made, let me know, and I'll see what I can do for you. And thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe if you like this video and you want to see more videos on trading cards and Wonders of the First. Have a fantastic New Year's, and I'll see you all in the next video. Adios.
When we play Wonders of